Lots of changes with the K30 Pro, the cheapest flagship phone released this year. Subscribe if you want to see the unboxing, the camera tests, and much more. Redmi have just launched the cheapest flagship phone in 2020. The cheapest phone that uses this flagship processor, the Snapdragon 865, coming in at 2,999 RMB in China, roughly about $500. However, that cheap version does have some limitations and doesn't have the same hardware as the more expensive versions of the same phone, and definitely doesn't have the same hardware as the Zoom edition. You get USB-C on the phone and a headphone jack too. An infrared blaster is on the phone at the top. The normal version has this shiny back, just like the Mi 10 from Xiaomi, the non-Pro version, whereas the Zoom edition, which really is the Pro version of these two phones, goes for a matte finish. Redmi have gone for this circular Oreo style camera bump on the back, and all the internals of this phone are incredible. LPDDR5 RAM, UFS 3.1 storage, all of the good stuff, except the very cheapest version that comes in at that low price of $2,999 doesn't have LPDDR5, it has the older LPDDR4X. It also has UFS 3.0 storage rather than UFS 3.1. The non-Zoom edition version also has an inferior camera to the Zoom edition. As the name suggests, the Zoom edition, which I'm holding here in the purple matte finish, this one carries that 64 megapixel main sensor. That's the same between the two phones, but it adds a 3x telephoto lens, whereas the non-Zoom edition doesn't have one. They both have a 13 megapixel ultra wide camera. The non-Zoom edition adds a depth sensor and a macro sensor. The Zoom edition adds that 3x telephoto and keeps the depth sensor as well. 33-watt fast charging on this phone and a completely bezel-less AMOLED display. There was a lot of talk about the omission of any high refresh rates on any of these phones. Redmi explained their position during the launch event that 10 months ago when they were planning the phone, they decided that high refresh rates are not something that their users wanted at the time, and they decided to go for a slightly bigger battery. The battery in this one is 4,700 milliamp hours. As time has gone on, high refresh rates have come a big thing, but at the time, they thought that their users would prefer more battery life over a 90 Hz display. That is the explanation that we got anyway, but some of the other things that they've added, for example, the stepping motor or the haptic feedback engine, is definitely much improved over the previous versions. It's very clicky now. The screen itself is a good quality panel. It's an AMOLED, the phone feels very classy because of it, and you get that completely bezel-less display because of the pop-up camera. Xiaomi say there's a 92.7% screen to body ratio. They use a Samsung E3 AMOLED panel. It has a 180 touch sampling rate and also HDR10+, apparently to give you better colors when watching videos and playing games. The Zoom edition, which is the Pro version, is not as cheap as that very cheapest version. It starts at $3,799 in China, which is about $600 or so US dollars. There's a big jump, and they definitely had to cut some corners in that very cheapest version to give that low price. But honestly, it is way lower than any other phone carrying a Snapdragon 865. So maybe a lot of you guys don't mind the compromises because of the price. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see camera tests between the K30 Pro and the Mi 10, for example, which is releasing worldwide very soon. Chuck a like on the video and send a comment. What video would you like to see of the K30 Pro? A speed test, a camera test, or another video? Let me know. Redmi compared the K30 Pro Zoom edition constantly to the Honor V30, which was released about 6 months ago. That was a mid-range phone from Huawei with 5G. Yes, on the specs sheet, this does very well against that, and it is cheaper. However, that phone came out 6 months ago, and Honor are about to refresh a new phone in the Honor series, the Honor 30, which looks to add a ton of very high-end specs as well. But in any case, this is without a doubt the cheapest Snapdragon 865 phone you're going to get right now. And so I think the omission of a few things, for example, a zoom camera or the very latest RAM and storage, would be accepted by a lot of people that were looking at a very affordable way to get into the flagship chipset. Also, the macro image sensor that they've included on the Redmi K30 is apparently extremely good and different to a lot of others. It takes incredibly close images, so I'll show you guys what that one is like in the camera test. I really like the white color of the non-zoom edition, but I have to say I'm a definite fan of matte back finishes. So the K30 Pro Zoom Edition with this matte finish similar to the Mi 10 Pro is definitely a looker, and that's the one I would go for. Subscribe for all the latest tech news and videos. That's it for now, but I'll see you in the next one.